Subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Endeavour Careers.
Hi, this video is about MICAT preparation strategy. Considering the fact that MICAT 1 is just around the corner in December and MICAT 2 is scheduled in February, it becomes extremely important for us to understand what the exam is all about. Coming to the pattern of MICAT, as you can see, the test is divided into three parts. Part 1 is Psychometric Test, which consists of 36 questions to be answered in 25 minutes. Part 2 is Aptitude Test, which consists of 105 questions to be answered in 105 minutes. The Aptitude Test has 4 subsections, wherein Quant and data interpretation, verbal ability, and general knowledge have 25 questions each, and reasoning, which in MICAT is known as Divergent and Convergent Thinking, has 30 questions. Part 3 is Descriptive Test, in which you are supposed to type 4 subjective answers in 35 minutes. Each of these 3 parts, that is Psychometric Test, Aptitude Test, and Descriptive Writing, are elimination round. The MICA website clearly mentions that they won't consider the student's CAT, XAT, or GMAT score if that student does not clear the psychometric test. If the student clears psychometric test and does not clear aptitude test, then his answers for descriptive test won't be evaluated. If the student clears psychometric test and aptitude test but does not clear the descriptive test, then he will not be called for group exercise and personal interviews. Now let us look at each of these parts in detail. Part 1, Psychometric Test. Now psychometric test is a test designed to check whether the student has a consistent personality type or not. In MICAT, the questions in this section can be divided into 2 or 3 types. The first of which is the questions which are based on human traits. Say for example, there could be questions like, are you helpful by nature? Do you spend quality time with your family even when you have a busy schedule at work? These questions are followed by 3 options, which could be yes, no, and can't say. Okay. The second type of questions in the psychometric test could be the ones in which you are given 2 contradictory statements. Say for example, when you are free at home, do you prefer watching a movie or you go out and play a sport? For each of these statements, you are given 6 parameters on which you are supposed to provide a rating. These parameters could be agree strongly, agree moderately, agree very strongly, disagree strongly, disagree moderately, and disagree very strongly. The third type of questions in psychometric test could be the ones which are open-ended. Say for example, what kind of work would you prefer? What kind of spouse would you prefer? These questions are followed by 6 traits. A student is supposed to rate these traits on a scale of 1 to 6, 1 being the most important and 6 being the least important. Now, one thing that every one of you should note over here is MICA is not looking for a student with a particular personality type. Rather, it wants a student who has a consistent personality. So that was all about psychometric test. Next part in the MICAT is aptitude test. Now this part consists of 105 questions which are supposed to be answered in 105 minutes. This part also has a negative marking of 0.25. The section can further be divided into 4 subsections, namely reasoning, or what is known in MICAT as Divergent and Convergent Thinking, verbal ability, quantitative ability and data interpretation, and lastly general awareness. So now let us talk about each of these subsections in detail. First, reasoning, or what is known in MICAT as Divergent and Convergent Thinking. This section consists of 30 questions, of which there are 7 questions on visual reasoning, 4 to 5 questions on statement and assumption, and statement and conclusion, 4 to 5 questions on sufficient or insufficient information. Apart from these, there are around 15 questions which are based on word associations. So what is word association? Let me explain this with an example. As you can see, these questions normally appear in the match the following type of format, wherein you are given 2 columns. The left hand side column, titled as clue, has 4 words. The right hand side columns, titled as alternative, has 5 words. In the given example, cart, cider, eye and orange are in the clues column, round, juice, orchard, village and apple are in the alternatives column. Now what you are supposed to do is choose a word from the alternatives column that is related to all the 4 words in the clues column in some or other way. In this case, our answer would be apple, because apple is related to the word cart, wherein you have apple cart. You also have apple cider. You have an idiom which is apple of my eye. Both apple and oranges are fruits. As far as preparing for word association is concerned, the best source for practice is past MICAT papers. For other question types, please keep on practicing 5 to 7 questions of visual reasoning on daily basis. Please revise your critical reasoning concepts and you will be safe as far as divergent and convergent thinking is concerned. Next subsection in the aptitude test is that of verbal ability. This section consists 25 questions, of which there are 5 questions based on reading comprehension, 5 questions which are based on grammar, 5 questions based on fill in the blanks, 5 questions based on parajumbles, and 5 questions based on vocabulary. Now it would be important to note over here that vocabulary questions are contextual. What do I mean by contextual is you are given a sentence with a highlighted word and you are supposed to replace this highlighted word from the words given in the options. As far as preparation for this section goes, you need to learn 30 to 40 new words daily, because it is clearly evident that this section is vocab intensive. You need to practice around 10 to 15 parajumbles daily and you need to revise your grammar concepts. Next subsection within the aptitude test is that of quantitative ability and data interpretation. This section consists 25 questions, of which there are 2 sets of data interpretation which are fairly easy. Both of these sets have 3 questions. As far as quant in this section goes, it is spread across topics ranging from arithmetic to algebra to geometry. As far as preparing for this subsection goes, a student who is already preparing for exams like CAT, NMAT or SNAP does not need to do anything special in order to clear this section. The last subsection within the aptitude test is that of general knowledge. This section also has 25 questions, of which there are 7 to 10 questions which are based on business, brands and advertising. Right? There could be questions based on logos, there could be questions based on taglines, there could be questions about a company owning which of the following brands. Apart from these, last year, this section also had a good weightage of static GK. So a student who has been regularly following business news, who has been regularly following the advertising industry, would not face that great a challenge in this particular section. So that was all about the second part of MICAT, which was aptitude test. Moving on to the third part, which is descriptive test. Now, this part consists of 4 questions which are to be answered, or rather which are to be typed in a span of 35 minutes. The section can further be divided into 2 question types, the first of which is argument or opinion writing, and second is creative writing. So last year the topic was higher education leads to higher earning and not higher learning. After this topic, there were 3 questions. In the first question, you are supposed to write 5 arguments in favor of this topic. In the second question, you are supposed to write 5 arguments against this topic. And in the third question, you are supposed to take a stand. For each of these answers, you have a word limit of around 200 to 250 words. The most important part over here is that in the third section, you are supposed to take a stand. You cannot afford to appear ambiguous or diplomatic. MICA clearly mentions that if you write a diplomatic answer or an ambiguous answer to the third question, then they'll fail you in the descriptive test. So how does one prepare for argument writing? What I'd suggest is pick up any argumentative GD topic. Try writing 5 arguments in favor of the topic, 5 arguments against this topic, and lastly, take a stand and describe your stand. Do this on daily basis and you'll be able to crack the argument writing section of the MICAT. The fourth question in this part is something that we call creative writing. In here, you're given 4 pictures and the student is supposed to connect all 4 of these pictures and write a story out of it. So how do we practice creative writing? On a daily basis, pick up a newspaper or a magazine, select any 4 random pictures from the newspaper or magazine and try connecting them to make a story. Doing this on regular basis will ensure that you clear the descriptive test section of the MICAT. So that is the end of the third part of MICAT, that is descriptive test. One thing that I would like to point out over here is that as far as part 1, that is psychometric test, and part 3, that is descriptive test are concerned, a student cannot leave a question unanswered, or in case of descriptive test, cannot leave a question incomplete. If that happens, then the student is straight away eliminated. So that is it from our side. All the best. Thank you.